Georgia. It's the morning here, about 8:30. Nobody is awake except a few people going to work, and it's the summer, so no one's going to school yet. But today I thought what we'd do is discuss the street art of Georgia. Now, I really love the street art here. Now, what I'm talking about when it comes to street art is not graffiti. There is graffiti here. It seems to be universal now, the kind of thing that started in the South Bronx in the late 70s. And you do see that, and sometimes it defaces really beautiful buildings. I am not going to give anyone's tag any credit here at all, because I consider that stuff to be passé and horrendous at this point. But what I am interested in is the actual works of art that I do find, often on walls that look like they were, someone said, yes, you have my permission to put that work of art there. And so we're going to look at different works of art in the city, and not classical pieces, not sculptures, not that kind of thing, but really things you can tell really are recently commissioned, or in some cases not commissioned at all, works of art. So let's check out the street art of Tbilisi. We'll start with this. And this is kind of interesting. It's just on a walkway going up towards Betsy's Hotel. Betsy's Hotel was one of the first American hotels here in Tbilisi, Georgia. It's still a kind of a classic, nice view of the city, owned by American expat Steve Johnson. I first arrived here for my first visit in 2016, and I was kind of struck by some of the signs that I saw around, like this one, which immediately made me think that this was a pet store for some reason. Then I suddenly realized, oh, it's not a pet store at all. Signs in Georgia kind of go back a ways. There's a kind of a primitivism here, and you can see it in this tailor-made sign, so to speak. A lot of material and fabric went into this on the streets. This is actually on Rustaveli Avenue. Still there. I first saw this a couple of years ago, but I like the primitivism of it. It reminds me a bit, not totally, but of the most famous sign painter that there ever was in Georgia. In fact, the most famous artist of all time in Georgia, Nikos Pirosmani, who was a primitive artist. Like I say, he was a sign painter. This is his sign for a nice cold beer. His work has a lot of character in it, kind of a flat style. This one here is from a piece called Donkey Bridge, but look at just the kind of the primitivism of the faces. I like the mustache on the guy on the extreme corner there. And here's a closer look at that tailor-made sign. And in fact, it's advertising a tailor. But I love the texture of it. Now, this sign is not a sign for a yoga studio, and it is, again, it's in that spirit of, it's a professional sign, but in the spirit of people just making their own folk art. And this was just a piece of iron grill work. You see grill work all over the place here, but someone just decided to make it again into this little face and body. Kind of cool. Here's some chickens. So yes, you will see kind of funny pieces here. Cats. Some of them influenced by cartoons, others influenced by Pirosmani and others. This one, I guess someone's love for coffee. What is this, Christian theater or something like that? Now this is, you start to notice something interesting on that one, and it's this stencil technique. And here you have a man and his woman, they seem to be in love, but it's again, this stencil technique. Now, interestingly enough, in this one, there's nothing ironic going on. And this kind of looks ironic until you look at it more carefully. This one, again, now you may start noticing a theme here. And the theme is you will see images of beautiful women quite often in Georgian street art. Sometimes men as well, but more often women. And I think it's because women play an important role in Georgian society. And the dancing that women do is very, very beautiful and graceful. And again, you're not going to find many images of women in kind of jocular form of sarcastic images of women. It's like very rare to see that sort of thing in Georgia. Instead, what they're really trying to say is that there really is beauty. And so this is like, some sort of high school hoodie or something, but it comes across as being very beautiful. This one I really love. She has these eyes, which are just piercing. I don't know what happened to the mouth, and evidently this thing is starting to fade. And that's one thing I would point out. If you get interested in Georgian street art, take a photo of it. Take as good a photo as you can, because it's not going to last. As you can see with this next one, there's some sort of medieval character, maybe Shota Rustaveli, I'm not sure. The name on the side says El Japaridze, but you can see the cracks running through it. And I started noticing this person's work. I don't know, man or woman, hard to say, El Japaridze. But I started to see these particular images, and then I came across, actually on the same street I live in, this image of a beautiful, kind of sad, somber woman with flowers in her hair, El Japaridze, looks like 2016. And when I looked at it, I noticed there was a door. Sometimes the door is open, and if you went inside, you would suddenly see more. It's like someone said, go ahead and do this. So Japaridze came and painted these images, and I just kept walking into this one pathway to a courtyard, and I kept seeing these. I'm not sure. That looks like something out of a medieval Georgian iconography there. Then there's looks like a black man maybe there, the next one over. But this is not graffiti. And sadly, the first image I showed you of the beautiful, sad woman has already been defaced by someone. They put like a poster with glue on the side and such. But these things don't last. And like I say, if you see them, take photos, because the chances of ever seeing them again decay. Now, I don't know if this is Japaridze. It doesn't quite look like the style, but maybe, but it doesn't look like it finished. This is definitely Japaridze. And you can see, El Japaridze works in a line art style. This one's definitely Japaridze. It's like you got flowers and death. This is just in an alleyway, not far from where I live here, above Rustaveli Square. If you walked up directly above the Rustaveli Square McDonald's, you would find these. And then there's this one, kind of a touching scene. I am sure it tells some story out of Georgian folklore. What? I'm not sure. But you can see also people are defacing these things, which I consider, if someone spends all this time and then someone comes along and defaces it, that's just really low. And people shouldn't do that. But this is one of my favorites here. A couple of very Georgian faces on this. King, is it a king and queen? Something like that. I don't know the story. Here's someone, I don't know if it's Japaridze, kind of a similar line style. The next one is definitely not Japaridze, but it has the line style again, almost like something out of a comic book. It's kind of stunning. It looks like there used to be a club or something called Darami or whatever down there, and it's now closed up. Certainly not a club. And then you find other stuff that's hard to classify. Like there's a huge wall that someone painted this rather cryptic, symbolic set of images on. I'm not sure what it all means. I suppose I could study it and try to figure it out, but it's certainly quite stunning. This was painted on the outside of a building that they're working on repairing, and so rather than just have a blank wall, someone put up that art. I'm sure they got permission to do it. This looks almost like art made out of a map, and this is the biggest piece I've ever seen in Georgia. It was like on a huge, it was just a huge building that had this huge work of art on it, and quite clever. Obviously, someone got permission to do this, but the building is empty. I mean, it looks like they started it and never finished it. We call this street art. This isn't graffiti. This is too much. But when I tried to get in to get closer, I was suddenly met by that dog you see on the bottom there, who turned out to be extraordinarily ferocious and was not interested in me at all, except as something to bite. But, you walk along and then you get back to seeing images that basically come out of Pirosmani. The Georgians never get too far from Pirosmani, and certainly in this kind of street art, but even their classical art doesn't get too far from Pirosmani. So I'll just let you enjoy this final image as we get out of here. So have a look, come to Georgia, look for Pirosmani in the museums, but really look for the street art. So, this is Byrne, thanking you for coming with me today on my little trip through the street art of Tbilisi. And if you like this channel, do subscribe, share it, tell other people about it. There will be more coming on all sorts of aspects of Georgia you probably never thought about before. As the Georgians say, nachwamdis. That's goodbye.